Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I thought we could do a wedding guest makeup look. I got asked for not only graduation makeup but also wedding party-esque makeup. So I'm going to do 3 different videos on this. I'm going to do wedding guest, like bridesmaid, bridal party makeup, and then I'm also going to do bridal. Don't forget to like this video, hit that subscribe button, and also turn on the bell so that way you get notified every time I upload a brand new video, and let's get started. Base wise, you definitely want to do something like lightweight because most weddings are during the summer and it's like stupid hot, so you don't want to have to worry about your face just falling off pretty much. So what I would recommend is doing something like a light to medium base. I'm going to start by just using my NYX primer. Just going to use 1 pump of that and rub it in. This will help plump up your skin and make it look nice and hydrated. Now when you're a wedding guest, most of the time you don't want to like wear an ass ton of makeup because then it kind of looks like you're like doing too much, you know? Just in my opinion. I'm always fearful of like going to a wedding and being too dramatic makeup wise and taking the attention away from the bride and the bridal party, or like going to a birthday party and being like full out glam and feeling like I'm outshining the birthday person. So I try not to do that. If you feel differently, of course, go all out, you do you. Okay, so I think for today, just because it's more of a light to medium coverage, I'm going to use my Pat McGrath foundation. It's been a while since I've used this one. So when me and my husband first got married, we just went to the courthouse because we were young. We couldn't really afford a giant wedding. It wasn't really like top of our priorities. We just really wanted to get married and couldn't wait any longer. So we got married at the courthouse. And then, it was what year did we? 6 years later, we got married at, had like a big ceremony. Sorry, my lips are dry and it's like distracting me. Okay, so taking the Pat McGrath foundation, I'm just going to plop it on the back of my hand. I'm going to use my Juno & Co. sponge. And I'm going to start working this in. I really like this foundation. I definitely think it's worth the money. I do think though that you can probably find dupes, you know what I mean, like cheaper dollar store, or not dollar store, cheaper like drugstore alternatives. But this one just looks really nice on the skin. Went ahead and zoomed in a little bit so you could see better. I don't remember if I mentioned it or not, but this is the foundation that I wore when we actually got married, like had the ceremony and stuff. It definitely looked beautiful in photos. Because I don't really have like bad skin or anything. I just like to even out my skin. Oh, so I have been getting comments pretty much saying like they wish that they could send me a photo or show me what they look like so that I can like give them advice or help them with X, Y, and Z, whatever it may be. I do have an Instagram that you guys can message me on. It's just Mrs. Shiflett. Definitely, if you want to, you can send me photos through there. I'm not going to share them with anybody. Of course, appropriate photos, please. Only, like, photos if you need help with something, like your face. I just felt like that statement was like an open can of worms, and I don't want to open my DMs to something very inappropriately. This makeup look is definitely not going to be anything, how do I say it? Not anything like extraordinary. It'll look good. You'll look good for the wedding as a guest or whatever if you like happen to be in like some background shots or whatever, but it's definitely not gonna outshine the bridal party or the bride herself. And I'm just making sure that everything's blended in. As you can tell, this is like slightly not my color. The one that I grabbed was a little bit more on the yellow tone side, and as you guys know, I'm a cool tone. Very, very cool tone person. I could probably get away with a neutral tone foundation, but the yellow, or warm toned, I should say, like sticks out like a sore thumb on me. Make sure you drag it down your neck a little bit if it's not the proper color, so that way you're not like getting clocked for it. Okay. Now that we have that on, I would shoot for whatever concealer best suits your skin. Right now though, I am going to use the CoverGirl concealer because I'm testing it out to see if I like it. You don't need a bunch, especially of this one. It's very, 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 very pigmented, and I wouldn't recommend doing like I did in the last video and applying all of your concealer and then trying to blend it out, because then it's like, it's dry. This does seem like a very good concealer though. You just gotta know how to finesse it. I think my overall tip would be to pretty much emulate your like everyday makeup. If you don't wear makeup every day or often, but you wanna look nice for the wedding, you could always just do something like this, like super light. Okay, now that I have the concealer on, I'm gonna go ahead and start working on my blush. For more natural looks like this, I tend to skip doing bronzer. Of course, depending on how I feel that day, but like, for the most part, I don't do bronzer on like natural, fresh days, because I feel like the blush does a pretty good job at like framing the face, or giving color to the face, I should say. Taking whatever is like left over on the sponge on the tip of my nose. I am going to go in with the tiniest bit of bronzer. I'm using the Jaclyn Cosmetics Cream Bronzer. Or no. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to actually set my base like right where I normally do bronzer with a sheer-ish powder bronzer, which for me is the Jaclyn Cosmetics powder bronzer. This does have like a luminosity to it, which is pretty nice. So picking that up, and I'm just going to stamp it where I would normally place my bronzer, which is like right around here. We're gonna use that powder bronzer up here a little bit too to make it cohesive. Because my foundation is a little bit darker, I am gonna take the bronzer down my neck a little. If you're showing a good bit of skin, like wearing a dress or something that shows like your whole chest, make sure you match to your chest. Because if you don't, it's not gonna look great. Taking the bronzer down the sides of my nose. And I'm going to take the same brush that I used for the bronzer and pick up the blush in this Jaclyn palette. And I'm going to set my blush. Blush is actually one of the first products that seems to like fade from my skin. So I tend to go a little bit heavy-handed with it first. And then after like an hour or so, it fades pretty bad. I think the residue of the brush I'm going to take right here. I feel like I'm still seeing a little bit of blueness underneath my eyes. So I'm just going to take a dot on each side. Now I'm just going to take some setting powder. I take it on my little sponge and then I pat it off on the back of my hand. And then I set underneath the eyes. The under eyes are definitely one of those parts that I have to set. Because if not, then it creases like crazy throughout the day. Okay, so taking a tiny bit of that powder and I'm going to set my nose. Because my nose does get very, very oily. And taking a little bit of the residue and taking it up on my forehead. Because y'all know I have that big old wrinkle right there that loves to crease. It's already creased a little bit, but we're going to ignore it. Taking a little bit more and setting pretty much everywhere I put the concealer is where I set. Like the hardcore set pretty much, where I'm like stamping it in with a sponge. And then one thing I'm going to try is I'm going to take a big fluffy brush and the Jaclyn powder, the new one, the Sheer Fair Powder Move Loose Setting Powder. I'm going to take this and I'm going to dust it all over my face because it does have that radiance to it, so it's going to look very skin-like. I just personally don't like it underneath my eyes. I'm not sure if you guys can see that. It's got that radiance to it that I don't like having all over my under eyes. I like for my under eyes to look matte. Now we're going to do the brows and the eyes. The brows I would just do something super simple. So let's see. I'm going to take my Benefit 3D Brow Tones. I use the shade 4. And we're just going to back comb first. So we can make sure we're getting all the hairs nice and covered. And then shape it. Just like that. You see the difference? How it like, this one looks, it's there, but it's not as prominent. And this is a little bit more prominent, but it's not like, whoa, bam. You guys comment down below if you go to like weddings and stuff, like what your preference makeup wise is, if you wear makeup, of course. I wouldn't expect you to like be a guest at a wedding and you don't normally wear makeup and you go like full on beat face. If you do, then that's awesome. If you don't, I completely understand. Wearing a lot of makeup is a lot. Okay, so that's the brows. Now what I would do for eyes, I always blank out my eyelids no matter what. So I'm going to take my P. Louise base. I'm just going to take a little bit on the back of my hand. And of course, using my sponge, I'm going to dust off any extra powder if there is any on it. Using my sponge, I'm just going to dip into that P. Louise base and I'm going to place it on my eyelid. I think other than my own, I've technically only been to one wedding. Two weddings, my bad. So like I've never really, because I kind of live in the country, so I've never really have gone to a wedding where, you know, everybody is glammed up or whatever. Like an influencer wedding, I've never been to anything remotely fancy. It was nice weddings, don't get me wrong. Don't take that the wrong way. But it's not like super fancy, you know? Okay, so picking up that bronzer, we're going to start setting the lid. It's going to look messy until we're done. And blending it up into the crease some. So even though you're trying to do more of like a natural-esque look, you still want your eyes to have some form of like a dimension. You know, like you don't want it to be completely blanked out and looking like almost like it's unfinished. The good thing about being a wedding guest though is that you don't have to worry about your makeup being like perfect, because they're not really going to take that many photos of you, you know? Like the bridal party, they take photos, you know, like all day long, it feels like. Taking that same color, same brush, just putting it on the tip of my brush. I'm going to start working it in my lower lash line just to make it cohesive. Why is that under eye look like that? You see that? Maybe that concealer is not very great. I don't know what happened there. I said it. Like hardcore said it. So don't use that concealer. Use whatever concealer works for you. For me, the concealers I like are the Hourglass one. What else is there? The Good Apple one's pretty good as well. I really like the hydrating concealer from e.l.f., the camo hydrating one. I'm trying to like correct that creasing under eye with that. But it's just not looking any better. So we're just gonna pretend like it's not there. You don't see anything. You know, I actually have shit that I have to do today too that's really aggravating. that looks like that. Okay, so I'm gonna dip my brush into some translucent powder and we're gonna go around the edges. Why did I put my mirror down? I keep putting my mirror down like I'm not using it. I'm very much using it still. Okay, so that looks really good, other than the concealer, ignore that. Now what I like to do is I like to take my highlighter, my face highlighter, and let's see, we'll take just any like bullet brush, and I'm going to take my face highlighter. We're going to put this in the inner corner, down a little bit, and then we're going to bring it up a little bit as well. So we still want our eyes to seem awake and open, but we don't want to go for a full metallic lid because we're just a wedding guest. Just like that. And then I take the same brush and like boop my nose. This is something I always do just because I think that it helps like accent my nose. Like makes it look thinner, I guess you could say. Then I tap it out with my finger. Just so it's not like super harsh. Cupid's bow. You don't have to do this if you don't want to. It just helps emphasize my lips, so I like doing it. That's pretty good. I'm not going to highlight my face because I did put that Jaclyn powder all over, so my face is like glowy looking already. Now is when I would put on mascara. I would curl your lashes and just put on like a really good mascara. I wouldn't do like a full-blown lash. So that way you're not worried about the lash popping off all throughout the night. That was one of my biggest worries during our ceremony. I wear lashes all the time. Even then, it just, I don't know, I guess that was one of my fears, that I'd be like getting my photos done and my lash be like, wah. I don't remember if I've mentioned this to you guys before, but my brow stylist, she's the one who actually did my makeup for my wedding. I wasn't gonna pay for anybody to do it because I was like, I do really good makeup, let me do it. And then I saw her do one of my bridesmaids makeup, and then I was like, I genuinely don't want to do my makeup. So I was like, Paige, do you feel like doing my makeup? This is that NYX On The Rise mascara. It's actually really good. It's another one of those things that everybody was talking about and I just refused to try it. Don't know why I'm like this. Be careful not to get it on your eyelid, if you can. I'm sure I already did. This is a super simple, pretty look that you can literally do for whatever. But I think it would be really good for being a wedding guest. Now, unless your person like you're going to the wedding for tells you like, hey, get glam, then I just wouldn't. Okay, and then I'm gonna wipe off my lip oil. Always hydrate your lips before you do anything makeup wise, really. I'm just gonna take this Kylie Jenner lip liner, if I can get it open. It's called, yeah, it's called Autumn. It's almost a like My Lips But Better color. And fill in the corners a little bit. And then what I would do, because like hydration, let's see what this lip oil looks like on top of it. That looks super pretty actually. You can choose whatever lip color you want. I just like something like this on me. You can use like a nude lip or anything along those lines really. Then of course you want your face to stay all day or all evening, however long the wedding is. Most of the time they're like 5 hours long or more, so I would use like something like the all-nighter and let that dry. Okay, and that is the finished look. I'm sure I've done looks like this in the past. If you like those a little bit more than you like this one, then definitely follow it. But this is something that I would opt for if I was going to a wedding. Because like I still want to look decent. I want to look good if they like happen to snap a photo of me being a guest at a table or whatever. But I wouldn't want to look like full-blown glam because I don't want to take the spotlight from literally anybody that it's supposed to be their big day, like the sorry, my phone's going off. The bride or the groom or the bridesmaids, maid of honor, whoever, the mom of the bride, or you know what I mean? Like I don't want to be that person. I don't know. I guess it's not a bad thing if you want to be like full-blown glam for your friend's wedding or a person's wedding that you're going to. I don't know. Sorry, I feel like I'm rambling. I don't know what else to say. But yeah, guys, I hope that you enjoyed this video. It's super quick, super simple, to the point, something easy. Don't forget to like this video, hit that subscribe button, and also turn on the bell so that way you get notified every time I upload a brand new video. And thank you guys so very much for watching. Bye.